From the onset of my show today, there's something I need you to know. There were quite a number of other videos, a lot of other topics that I had lined up, for possible appearance today. But they have all been rudely swept aside by what happened yesterday at Kasarani. Indeed, if I were to summarize our show today, I would say we are discussing in this particular video very weighty matters. Maswala nyeti sana. Now, let me announce something on the onset, and make it very clear. If you hear me on this channel changing my mind or changing my position, you can be sure of one thing. I have not received a brown envelope. I have not received a brown envelope full of money. That's not what I'm about. Indeed, one of the advantages of remaining anonymous is that it's very difficult to find me to bribe me. That's the truth, and I'm very grateful for that. Although I have no doubt on my mind that I would never be tempted to accept money. And part of the credit for that part of my character has to go to my late political lecturer, a man of principles, a man I never understood for decades. Indeed, I started understanding him when his time on this earth was winding up, when he was just about to leave. But that is a story for another day. So what makes me change my position? Only two things. One, new facts I receive. Number two, and the most important, Almighty God, the one and only living God, Jehovah, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, the God of Jacob. Now, please be patient. I'm going somewhere with this. We'll go to Kasarani very quickly. In the chaos, tribal and all that mess of the 2017 presidential elections, I will confess today, I lost my way. My analysis was based on facts, factual information, researched information, privileged information that I received. However, I still lost my way. How so? I lost my way because I did not understand what God's plan was for Kenya and the results of those elections. And now, it seems once again, I've lost my way. And we'll discuss that towards the tail end of the show today. So stick around. That should be quite something. Kasarani, Kasarani. The Moi International Sports Center at Kasarani was the venue yesterday of the annual General Conference of the Akorino Churches of Kenya Assembly. A function that was attended by both Team Tanga and Team Keleweke. All the top names in Team Tanga were there. Bwana Ichung'wah, the Kikuyu legislator, DP William Ruto, although he came late after the president. Maybe he went to fetch the title deed that the president presented to the Akorino. Land for them to build a place, a college to train Akorino teachers. Religious teachers, teaching about the Akorino faith, that is. And the so-called new team, Team Wanjiko, was also represented by Nairobi Governor Mike Mbuvi Sonko, who started off the speeches, after the Akorino people had spoken. And is the one who invited the deputy president to speak. And of course, the deputy president invited the president to speak. Now, all this information would ordinarily be very boring. Except that in this instance, what followed, what the president said, makes all this information super interesting. Now, one local daily newspaper, in covering the president's very angry speech, gave it the headline that the president has vowed to crush Team Tanga, those who are trying to derail his agenda, and where he's going and where he's taking Kenya. Now, I found that super interesting Because on October 25th, 1969, the president's dad, founding father of the nation, President Jomo Kenyatta, repeated or said the same words in Kisumu. Oh, how history repeats itself. Because just like yesterday, when his son insinuated the same, in 1969, Jomo was referring to his vice president and his group, Jaramogi Oginga Odinga and the Kenya People's Union. Yesterday, the president was referring to Deputy President William Samoei Ruto and the Tanga group. So, as the good book says, there's nothing new under the sun. History just keeps repeating itself. But there's a huge difference. In 1969, Jomo was true to his word. He crushed Bwana Jaramogi Oginga Odinga and his people completely. Wiped them out of the political face or the political scene in Kenya. Now, fascinatingly, most political analysts and observers do not believe that the president yesterday was serious. They don't believe that there'll be dire consequences for the deputy president and the Tanga group. They don't believe that for a minute. Now, I appreciate the fact that to many of you, that's a very strange thing to say, especially because the president looked very serious, more serious than he has ever looked for a very long time. So serious and so angry that he even spoke in his mother tongue, in Gikuyu. And what is more, he was speaking before the Akorino church, a traditional church in Kenya, a Kikuyu traditional church. Now, the Holy Ghost East Africa Church, that's what the Akorino's official name is, has a very interesting history, which started during colonial days. And this were people who were persecuted by the colonialists. In one instance, the brutal colonialists, the Brits, even poured paraffin on their kirembas, their turbans, and killed several of them. Just set them on fire through their turbans. And yet the Akorino were not the enemies. Not really. They were not the Mau Mau. In fact, they stubbornly refused to join the Mau Mau. Although they opposed British imported religions. And therefore formed their own local traditional religion. The Akorino not only preach peace, and non-violence, but they also never take any oath. That is why they don't join the disciplined forces. They can't take an oath. It's against their faith. And so we are forced to conclude that the hatred of the British to the Akorino church was only based on the fact that they did not understand it, that they hated everything traditional. And most importantly, the problem as far as the colonists were concerned is that the Akorino came from the wrong tribe. The colonialists were always very, very nervous about the Kikuyu. And quite rightly so, because the vast majority of the land the colonialists grabbed belonged to the Kikuyu. Anyway, let's not digress too much. At such a gathering, one would have expected the president was very, very serious. Now, let's very quickly go into what the president actually said, because a lot of it was said in Kikuyu, and I appreciate not everybody understands this language. Well, he started in Kiswahili. His opening remarks were in Kiswahili, the usual. And then, suddenly, drama. He said that people should forget the things of the past. You cannot eat the past today. And he even quoted the very famous Swahili saying, ya jana yamepita, tugange ya kesho. Based on what he said shortly after that, all of it in Kikuyu, there should be absolutely no doubt on anybody's mind that he was referring to what the Tanga group used to call, because today they have avoided that subject, but at the beginning they were talking about Deni, 10-10. When President Uhuru came into power, the deal was, with the Kalenjin voters, that he would rule for 10 years and then DP William Ruto would take over for another 10 years. That is what 10-10 means. Yeah, and there's no doubt what the president was saying here is that the deals that we made in the past, whatever happened in the past that caused people to make certain promises, is over. Yeah, and now we need to look to the future, and we need to organize our future as a country without being bogged down by the past. Yeah, and deals that are made in the past. Yeah, that have been overtaken by events. That is really the crux of what the president was saying as he started his very angry Kikuyu speech. In his Kikuyu speech, he left no doubt, zero doubt, that he was referring to the Tanga group and the deputy president. And indeed, after his speech, when he returned to his seat, the body language of the deputy president, William Samoei Ruto, told a story. He told us he was extremely uncomfortable, extremely angry, extremely confused, and extremely shocked. In other words, he was not expecting it. At one angry moment, very angry moment in his speech, the president said in Kikuyu, Ngamaruta. That means he's going to smoke them out. Wait and see, he told the crowd. Now, to keen observers, this turn of events was confusing, because when the president took over the microphone after being invited to speak by the deputy president, for the first time in a long time, he said, "Thank you, William." Now, you good people need to correct me here, because I can't remember the last time I heard the president referring to the deputy president by his first name. I can't. It was such a long time ago. Almost in another lifetime, when the two of them were buddies. They were close. They went everywhere together. They made decisions together, etc., etc. But yesterday, the president said, "Thank you, William." All the more reason why the deputy president must have been very shocked by what followed, like most Kenyans. And the president even apologized, for being so angry before the Akorino church. But he added very quickly, that he believes what he wants is what God, Jehovah, wants. That's what the president said. Now, let us address some very burning questions that came out of this angry speech that has taken Kenyans completely by surprise. Question number one, was the president serious? Well, I believe I've already answered that question. I've told you what most serious political analysts believe. They don't believe that the president is serious. Why? Well, it's very simple. It's because of what has happened in the past. It would seem that, and many of you are not going to like this, but it's the truth, which is what we deal with in this channel. It would seem that the deputy president is a stone that is too heavy to be turned, even by the executive, the president himself. Several things have been tried against the deputy president that have not quite worked. Let me just leave it at that. And so the assumption is that even the next thing, whatever it is, that can be sourced back to this dramatic, angry speech of the president, will also not work, if we're to take the past as a measuring rod. Like him or hate him, it is clear that the Deputy President William Samoei Ruto is a formidable opponent. The president during his angry speech even said that he will go all over Central Province, telling the people, what he was telling the Akorino. Now, that was very interesting, because we know, at least from my video yesterday, that things are so elephant in Central Province that the president holding a meeting in his own home turf in Central Province is no longer business as usual, because we have had functions where he was scheduled to tour, have a rally in Central Province, together with the other handshake principle, Raila Odinga. These scheduled meetings have been cancelled, postponed. And we all know in politics, when a political event is postponed or cancelled, you have to sit up and pay attention. Because most probably, there's a good reason. And the reason is not the busy schedule of the said politicians. No way. And so it would seem that the deputy president is such a formidable opponent, that he has made things uncomfortable for the president, even in his own backyard. Take, for instance, the jeering and booing of Murang'a women's representative, Sabina Chege, on Friday, in Central Province. And what were the people chanting? Or what were the small group of disruptors sent chanting? They were chanting the name of the deputy president. Jaramogi Oginga Odinga, the first vice president of Kenya in 1969, was a formidable political opponent of Jomo Kenyatta. That's the truth. But Jomo Kenyatta crushed him, and his group. But folks, this is 2019, not 1969. And it is clear, that crushing Ruto is not going to be that easy. It is not impossible to crush Ruto politically. It isn't. But what I'm saying, it appears that it is not easy. And that is not good news for Kenyans. Because ndovu ikipigana, nyasi ndo umia. Nyasi is us ordinary Kenyans. We are not in power. We are not fighting for power. Us ordinary Kenyans, the grass, are the ones who are going to get most damaged as the huge elephants tussle it out. Irrespective of who will emerge winner, we will get badly damaged, badly hurt. Now, this brings us to the huge, 1 billion Kenya shilling question. Why is it so hard to deal with the deputy president, even when a lot of public opinion is against him? Why? Now, the answer to that question involves some very sensitive issues, which I tackle in my latest weekly intelligence briefings. Now, it is super fascinating that I had to edit this latest edition. I had to edit it after the drama of yesterday's president's angry speech. Now, there are two kinds of editing. There's the editing where you delete almost everything. You virtually almost rewrite or rework the whole thing. And then you claim it is editing. Well, that can also pass for editing. And then there's the other editing. The editing where you just add, that in fact what has happened reinforces what you've already said. So you edit to add in the latest information. Now the latter is the kind of editing I did on the weekly intelligence briefings. It is super fascinating, and I urge you to take advantage of the very special offer I have on the weekly intelligence briefings. All you need to do is send an email to that email address you see on your screens right now, and you'll get an instant response giving you all the details of what you need to do to get this highly explosive information. So let's move on. Wacha sasa nilipe deni. Yes, I made a promise to you at the beginning of the show. So let me fulfill that promise. Let me pay my debt. My email inbox has been clogged with a message with one title. Let me give you the title. The title is Latest Prophecy on Kenya. I sign into my email, looking for information from an informant, who has called me and told me there's something for me. And I'm very excited to know what, and curious of course, to know what this latest inside information is. And there's that message, Latest Prophecy on Kenya. I go away, I come back to my email, checking for another message. There's that message again, Latest Prophecy on Kenya. This thing has just clogged my email. Several of you, and indeed members of Club 1999, have bombarded my email with a link to this video because they don't want me to miss this prophecy. Well, thank you very much, but I have news for you. I've already viewed and taken in the prophecy, and I've already been so shocked that I've been speechless. But please don't be discouraged. keep on sending me this information. Yeah, you never know. Sometimes I get shocked. Sometimes I'm not aware. Okay? Now, this is a prophecy by a Zimbabwean preacher, Zimbabwean pastor, who made a lot of prophecies during the 2017 general elections. Now, if truth be told, not all those prophecies came to pass, but some of them did, because there's only one true test of a true prophet of Almighty God, and that is whether what they prophesy, what they predict, comes to pass, nothing else. Now, I fear God, therefore I cannot ignore this prophecy. However, I am just like you. I don't know. I cannot vouch for this prophet. I cannot vouch for his prophetic word. But I fear God, so neither can I completely ignore it. Neither can I brush it aside. All that I can do, which I believe is what most of you will do, those of you who are Christians, those of you who fear God, is to seek God and seek God's mind over Kenya. Let's just leave it at that and come back to political analysis, rather than spiritual. Now, in view of that prophecy, which I cannot vouch for, I don't know that it will come to pass or it will not come to pass, I know nothing. But in view of that prophecy, let us say something that is very important for all of us to realize. And it is this: you cannot write off the Deputy President of Kenya, William Samoei Ruto, being the next President of Kenya. Why? One reason, according to me, and one reason alone. Forget that he's a formidable political opponent. Forget that completely. The reason why you cannot write off DP Ruto is because, as we speak, he is still holding the office of the Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya. Holders of that office the world over are only a heartbeat away from the presidency, and that is a fact. In politics, anything can happen, and as long as he remains Deputy President, if, for instance, tomorrow, God forbid, some people impeach our president, then according to our constitution, the Deputy President takes over. And here is the worst part of it. We all know that once people become president in Kenya, removing them from office is impossible. You can't remove them with an election. You can't. Because they've got the power and the resources to do a pop, duly re-elected or duly elected. And so that is why I'm saying anybody who writes off the Deputy President, and is a serious political analyst, is daydreaming, is not being realistic, is not analyzing politics and emotionally, because you can write off the Deputy President 100 times using emotions. You don't like the man. You believe it's going to be such a disaster if the man takes over as President of Kenya that you're planning to move away from Kenya the day he becomes president. Despite all that, here we're analyzing politics. We're not using emotions. And therefore, analyzing politics soberly, you cannot and you can never write off the Deputy President as long as he continues holding his office as Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya. Until next time, this is Chris Kumekucha.